The big question is like, where did this concept come from? Like, what's the genesis of it?
Okay. So it's now a charity softball game where two teams full of accountants are playing against each other. I'm a tax dispute lawyer. 95% of my business comes from accountants based in Ottawa or the surrounding region. So I moved to Ottawa. I'm from Vancouver. I moved to Ottawa. I don't know anybody. My partner doesn't know any. So it started off by me putting a team in a softball tournament. So there's local tournaments here. So I start calling people up. I come up with this idea. I figure it's a good way to get to know people. I decide we're going to do it with accountants. So I track down like 10 people. I put us in this softball tournament on a weekend. I barely know anybody on this team, and we end up getting just pounded the whole weekend, right? We show up. We've never met each other.
Right.
People on these other teams, it's co-ed, but people on these other teams, full of jerseys.
Yeah.
Each of them has their own bats.
Yeah.
We just get thumped. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna learn from that. And so it dawned on me there that we need to be playing against each other. Everybody needs to be here kind of for the same purpose.
On the same level.
Yeah, exactly. So the next year I go out, I put it out, I get two teams. At the time I'm with Blachford Tax Law, my own firm, but at the time I was with this other guy at Haslow Law, who was great. He saw the vision. We put together these two teams. We have jerseys for both of them. Everybody reps their firm. So they've got their firm name on the back of their jersey. And I don't know where the charity idea came from, but it's a crucial idea. It's a crucial part of this.
Okay.
So we decide we're going to play for charity. The winning team gets the money. The losing team also gets money, but I didn't tell anybody that at the beginning. I only tell people after. So me and this guy, Hugues Boisvert, my former partner, both put in money and we got $1,500. So winning team gets 1,000, losing team's charity gets 500.
Right.
We pick captains of each team and the captains choose the charities.
Okay.
So that's how it started.
So you said that charity is key to this. I agree, but why did you come up to that realization?
I don't know, because so we're in our third year now of the charity game. We've completed our third year. Then there was the precursor, which was that tournament. The 3 years of charity, I don't know what it would feel like if there weren't charities involved, but I can tell you so we get the charities, a representative from each charity has to come. It's a different charities each year. And they talk to us about their charity before the game. Provides a totally different feel. There's it's a little bit competitive because you feel like, okay, I've got this charity that I'm playing for now.
Right.
So it adds a little tension to it, but also it's just super feel good and I love it. And there's no strings attached for the charities.
Right.
They just get a call. They say, we want to give you money, just show up at the game.
Right.
And they're like so grateful for it that it's just provides this really positive vibe.
Do they cover it? Does it go up on a blog? Does that kind of publicity extend to the charity?
They'll put it up on on their LinkedIn and stuff like that.
Great.
But really, it's important to me that they have no obligations. They're doing very important work on a day-to-day level, So I don't want to ask anything. I do want them to come.
Yep.
But outside of that, I don't ask anything of them. And some of them do, but I don't really track it.
So the next question I have is you're doing this with accountants, which makes a ton of sense. As you said, 95% of your business comes from accountants. So this is a very easy, hyper-targeted way for you to build a network of referrers in a city where you know nobody. Is that a fair assessment?
That's totally right. Yeah. I mean, I'm now I feel like I'm friends with these people and I enjoy seeing them. Like I'm genuine, like some of them I haven't seen since the year before,
right?
Especially on account of COVID. So yeah, it's a big deal to see these people again, get to see them. So it's fun, but yes, it's a very basic way to make good, positive connections.
So when you're starting out, I think this is the part that most lawyers will shy away from. You've got to pull together a team of accountants from different firms, right? You're doing it obviously somewhat strategically. How do you pull that off? How do you make that happen?
Yeah, it was harder than I thought. I remember calling this one guy up at a firm. I knew he didn't play softball, but I explained to him, I'm like, I have this dream to put a team together for a softball tournament. He said, first off, Dean, you need a bigger dream. But after that, it was like a lot of, okay, I'm going to call this person. They've given me this name. Then I'm going to call that person. They're on vacation, but they know another person who might play.
Right.
It's also important to me that women be involved in the game and it not feel like a dude event. So trying to convince women that it won't be a dude event and that they should feel comfortable playing is also not easy and something I do very intentionally.
Right.
So getting women can sometimes be harder, but yeah, that's how it started. Now it's getting easier. Now we're turning away people.
Really?
But yeah, for sure, for sure.
That's
Like
great.
I'll send out an email, I'll get 90% of the roster full. I'll put one linked up post that says, we've got 2 spots left. Email me ASAP if you want in. And I'll end up getting 5 or 6 messages from that.
That's awesome. That's super cool. You've produced a lot of content with this, right? How did that happen? So I know you hired a professional sports photographer, right? So walk through the actual production of the content on this.
Okay, so I should note that so the first year we did it, me and Hugues Boisvert chipped in our own money, $1,000 and 500 to the loser.
Right.
After that, somebody came to us and said, "Hey, we want to sponsor this event."
Right.
So now,
oh, so hold on, let's go down that. Sorry to go tangent. You had so someone proactively came to sponsor it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's
totally awesome. Like
so
it had never entered my mind.
And so you've never done any sponsorship selling? It's all been people approaching you?
After I got the first one, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me see if I get 2.
Right.
Just to make it kind of even. I was thinking 1 for each team.
Yep.
I ended up getting 4.
Okay.
Very easy the first year. I think 2 of them ended up coming to me. 2 of them I solicited, but like the easiest solicitation you've ever done. This year, I got a couple more. A couple dropped off. A couple more came. One of the ones that dropped off just said, "Here, take some money, but we don't need to be official, etc." So we've got these sponsors now. So we got 4 for each of the past 2 years. They're putting in like real money, like $3,000 each.
Okay.
And so the reason I bring that up is I do feel like an obligation to them. They're in it for the right reasons. These are like really good companies. They totally get it, but I do want to kind of get the word out about this generosity that they're doing. So that's part of it. So in preparation for this podcast, I actually looked at how many posts I made.
Yeah.
So I made about 15.
Okay.
15, only on LinkedIn. I don't do anything else. I'm not on any other platform.
So it's just LinkedIn.
It's just LinkedIn.
Which makes sense because your referral network is accountants.
Yeah, I just don't. I put a ton of time into this. I can't start dividing my time. So I've focused exclusively on LinkedIn. So I do 1 post at the beginning to fill the roster. I do a couple posts to announce the 2 rosters. I do a couple posts to announce the captains and the charities of each roster. Then I do 1 post for each sponsor.
Right.
And I'm not sure if you saw these. They're a little bit cheesy. They're like, I'll do like a baseball themed promotion.
Right.
Yep. That I do myself. They don't tell me what to put. I do it myself. And hopefully they like it.
Right.
I think they kind of do. And then I do another one to promote the fans, another one to say, okay, the event's tomorrow. And then I did a couple live streamy videos.
Yep.
Which I don't know. You do LinkedIn Live all the time. I don't know how to do that. So I just took a video and posted it and called it like live. And then I did a couple thank you posts at the end. So it was 15 in total.
And so one of the things for people watching or listening, you are tagging everyone involved in this, right? And the viral nature of this is very, very obvious. You tag everyone involved in this, they get notified. They may or may not choose to share that they're getting involved in it and playing. But I think actually, from a philosophical, theoretical, dark social marketing perspective, that's genius. Did it actually work, right?
Yeah. Like I just looked at this for this podcast. I've got 1,700 followers on LinkedIn or friends or whatever they are.
Yep.
I don't have a ton, right? I don't know how many you have, but I'm sure it's way more. So I've got 1,700. Like I'm not a LinkedIn all-star. If I'm not tagging people, like nobody's gonna care. Right. I've got to tag people to get some sort of traction. And once I do that, you'd be amazed at how long they'll kind of last for. Even today, it's the event was 2 weeks ago. Yep. I'm still getting people who are liking those posts that were posted upwards to 3 weeks ago.
That's awesome. So my point being, the theoretical approach of tagging people to get that network effect is actually very much working for you, and it's got longevity.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's go back to content production. Sorry, we went off on this tangent, but when you said sponsor, that was one of my questions. Like, how did you handle the sponsorship? But so content production, you brought someone out, you guys put some money in, and you got the sports photographer. What did that look like, and how did that work for you?
Yeah, I would say sports photography is like, or just having a photographer there is absolute a must do.
Really?
Oh my God. Best money I ever spent. I don't know
Why?
where I found this guy, Matt Stewart. The photos are hilarious, right?
Okay.
I always joke at the beginning of the game when I'm doing my announcements, like his job is to make us look more athletic than we actually are. Uh, and he'll do that. Like he's caught some like amazing photo of like great action shots. He'll also catch hilarious photos where
Right.
your cheeks are puffed up because you're running as hard as you can to
Yeah.
first base. It's a riot. I don't like, yeah, I'm all about having a photographer. I think photographers, I organize this conference for CPAs. I bring him there as well because
Okay.
it's how people want to see it. And so I think it's a no-brainer. We pay him $450 for the day. He gets us the photos by like midnight. He's awesome.
Right.
Like it's very, very much money well spent.
That's awesome. And then how much of that photography, like you're repurposing it? Are you putting on LinkedIn? Like how does that get distributed?
Right. So one thing I did this, so we also have a journalist come from the Ottawa Business Journal.
Okay.
She's amazing. She got it right away, and now she comes every year. Her name's Caroline Phillips.
And so you get
Um,
covered in the local business rag for
yeah,
this.
yeah. And
Okay. And it's an easy,
so
happy story, right?
it's great. It's
Yeah.
great. She's amazing at these baseball puns. She'll do a video for it as well.
Okay.
She produces it really quickly, so she'll get it out like the next day. So that's the first thing that people see following the event.
Okay.
She loves having the photographer there as well because
Yeah.
now she doesn't have to do two things at once.
Yep.
So he'll email her a few of the select photos. She'll get them out the next day. In the past, I would then put the photos on my website and link to it like the next day as well and say, here's the full roster of photos.
Right.
This year, I held off. I have this Blachford Brief newsletter that goes out once a quarter.
Okay.
It's September 1st today. It's going out today.
Okay.
So the event was 12 days ago. I held off. And so now the full roster, the full library of photos is only going out today as part of the brief. So it's a way to kind of gain traction for this newsletter,
Yep.
and kind of, yeah, pull some of the goodwill into the newsletter.
The Ottawa Reporter. How did you initially get her to show up? Did you just call out?
Yeah, just called out. I didn't know her before, but like she's doing like 3 events a week. She's amazing.
And why did you choose her? Like, how was it like, okay, I'm get like, all right, I want to get press coverage on this. How do you identify that, she was the right person to connect with? Or was she not the right person?
Yeah, I think I went to the head of the Ottawa Business Journal and he put me in touch with her.
Okay.
And like I said, she's got it from the beginning. And I mean, I could try and I've thought about trying to get the more like local business, local newspaper, and maybe I should, but like she just gets it. Her article is full of pictures. It's light. It's great.
Okay. You also told me that you've tracked the time you put into this. So one of the things I think with social media and especially with dark social, and I think this is a miss from the perspective of most law firms, and I think agencies don't get it, is there's a ton of personal time invested in my opinion, to do this right. There's a ton of personal time invested by the head of the firm, right? The figurehead. It's very hard to like, send this off to an intern or have some flunky make this happen for you, or even get an agency to do this really well and think about putting on an event. How much time did you put into it?
Yeah. Okay.
What was the commitment?
So the time commitment for the whole event.
Yep.
This year was 44 hours for me, 41 hours for Ellen, my colleague, my law clerk. So it's a ton of time, right? Like it's a ton of time. That includes LinkedIn. That includes the day of the event, the after party where we're drinking beer and eating pizza after. It includes everything, but that's a week's holiday or it's a week of billable hours.
Right.
So it's a big time commitment, and I don't do Google AdWords. I don't do stuff like that. And every time I see that time commitment, I'm like, okay, am I being foolish about this? Right. But I just love it too much. I love it too much. The charity aspect of it is a big deal for me. It's the number one thing our firm does for charity, and it just feels really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I need to. Sorry, I was just going to say, I do feel like there's ways for me to bring that down. Part of my problem is perfectionism for sure with regards to the event. Like this is my baby. I have an issue with that. I also am always trying to make it like a little bit better than the year before. Yeah. So it's even if I've learned something that'll make, this year getting sponsors was way easier because I knew who to go to and they knew what it was about. So they signed on right away. There's always something that comes up that's unexpected that'll take time, or, you're adding something. So I still want to find ways to get Ella to be able to do more of it by me relinquishing some of my perfectionism. And yeah, so that's something I'm working on still.
Okay. That sounds like a personal thing, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, like,
letting
oh,
go.
entirely.
Here's the question that everyone always asks at the beginning. That is, it should never be at the beginning. It should be at the end. How is this done for your business, right? Like what has the business impact been? You mentioned, and I really like this, you don't do Google AdWords, you do this instead. And time being money, this is a great trade-off. This is a great way to repurpose a Google ad spend into something that turns into community development, et cetera. But that's only relevant if it actually generates business for you, right? And
Yeah.
so do you think this has been a business success, right? If you were to put on the MBA hat, what does that look like? Or the business owner hat?
Sure. Yeah, I can't track it entirely. I can't. An accountant who will have a file for me might have a file for me once every 3 years. You know,
Right.
these are big files that they get. I'm not doing high volume in the number of files.
Right.
I'm doing fewer big significant tax disputes with our Canada Revenue Agency. So it's really hard for me to track like one for one.
Yep.
I know that there's no way that I would have been able to launch my own practice. I launched about a year and a quarter ago. There's no way that happens without events like this. And also I do a webinar and I help organize this conference for CPA Ottawa. I can't parse them apart and know
Right.
which one is more effective. I just know that there's no way I would be here now if I wasn't doing kind of all of them. In my mind, I think I need them all.
I totally, and this is my whole point around dark social marketing, right? Like it's by definition, it's impossible to kind of linearly track this to this file came from this thing that I did and it was from that person. It's really impossible to track that. And yet what we see over and over again is that community engagement that then transfers to the web turns into business. I 100% believe this.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Now, by the way, I listen to lots of your stuff. I see a lot on LinkedIn Live.
Thank you.
I love Lunch Hour Legal. I define dark social for me.
Yeah. So for me, dark social, and I don't actually know who originally coined it, but there's a guy named Chris Walker who works in the SaaS world. So it's very different from legal. But the concept of dark social is exactly what you're doing. Heavy community involvement. The way I've translated the SaaS world into legal for dark social is it's heavy, heavy local involvement, right? That's on the ground, right? It's real, it's happening in person, it's reviewing restaurants if that's your thing and you're a lawyer. It's promoting women if that's the mission of your law firm. It's in your case, you're super into softball and you're targeting your audience really it's so obvious, right? But it's really effective. But the key here is you're taking that like offline activity and you're leveraging the web. You're using the web to leverage what you're doing offline, online. And that's why I was interested. Like you're tagging all these people, they're resharing things, they're liking things. And it then turns into my bias is the way dark social works is you have the offline activity that's then accelerated and promoted via digital. And it then turns into what it does is it creates a referral network locally for you. And you basically now have a referral network within your target market, which is a very specific target market based on some offline community engagement, right? And so my theory is, and I've watched this happen over and over again, where you'll have a law firm that they do, because legal is so dull, it's really hard to make it work in social, but everyone's interested in their local market. Everyone has a thing, softball, whatever it may be, everyone has a thing. And so if you can lean into that thing, we've got a guy who works with rescue dogs. That's his thing. Okay,
Wow.
great. So everyone likes puppies. Everyone likes rescuing, save the animal from the shelter. And so you can turn that into a group of people who really like dogs who now become a referral source for this law firm. And in the same way, you're doing the exact same thing. But the other part of it is it's really hard to track. It's not linear because it's a big referral network. It's not like Google Ads where it's like I typed in, motorcycle accident lawyer. I clicked on an ad and now I'm hiring a motorcycle accident lawyer. That's linear. It's trackable. That's what I've done all my career. But this offline stuff with Dark Social, it's not as trackable. And it was, your answer was exactly what I thought it was going to be because it is impossible to track these things.
Okay, good.
If you were to do this next year, what would you change? You said you want to make it better every year. What would you do to make it better?
Yeah. So this year, one of the things I did, which was great was I got a DJ. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
music, photography and music. It's a no-brainer. So like
Okay.
there's always a bit of awkward silence when people first arrive. That is totally eliminated when there's a DJ and you feel like it's a party. So that was this year's kind of up the ante. DJ and an announcer, a really good announcer who kind of like, and now to bat, number
That's
9, Conrad Sam. Like, so that was cool. I like that. This One of the things I failed at this year was I wanted to get fans. We're the players, the charities are in the crowd, the journalist is in the crowd, but the bleachers are kind of empty. There's not a lot
right.
of bleachers.
Yeah, yeah,
They're empty.
yeah.
So I was like, I set this goal for 20 fans. They were all going to get an invite to the after party, free beer, free
Yeah.
pizza at a pub just up the road. We got 6. So I failed there. Right.
Okay.
So I've got to
You
figure
need
that out.
smaller bleachers next time.
I think so. I wanted to keep it to accountants because I'm nervous. I now know, I now think that the sponsors don't care who's in the bleachers. That they're happy to have anyone there. But I was really worried that, I don't want to promote this to people who aren't accountants and feel like they're trying to get a free networking opportunity out of it.
Right.
I overthought that, I think. And so next year I'll just push it more broadly, I've got a few ideas, but that's something I got to figure out. And so I look forward to reporting back to you on whether I succeed or fail again on that front. So that's definitely something that I will do. I think it's important I think I need to set a goal with regards to the time I'm putting into it
Okay.
in order to like keep me accountable to something
Yeah.
and to help me. Again, this is personal, you're not my
Yeah.
therapist, but to help me a little bit with this perfectionism stuff. And because Ella, my law clerk, she's a boss, she's
Right.
amazing, she does not need me to encroach on everything.
Right.
So what we're doing now to kind of empower her to take on more is we're doing a review of it right now where she's writing up some notes on how she can advance all the little things that need to get done, how she can take more kind of ownership over them
Yep.
or have more control over them. And then I want to set a goal for myself that'll help me spend a bit more time. And if I end up spending more time on something else that's more value add, like bringing out fans,
Right.
then great. But I shouldn't be spending time on stuff that's kind of repeatable from year to year that she can take on.
100%. 100%. And that's the hard part of letting go, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that's one thing. And then I think I also need to be a bit careful with LinkedIn. So I'm not, as I mentioned, I'm not on any social media platform, even personally. Like I'm not really on
Yep.
Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And I did find like there's a dopamine hit from seeing one of your posts take off.
Yep.
And all of a sudden I'm like with my daughter and I'm checking my LinkedIn. I'm like, whoa, this is going too far here.
I am very guilty of that.
You've been there.
I'm very
Okay.
guilty.
Yeah. So I need to my LinkedIn use goes in waves. Like I'll go hard on it for this event. I'll go hard on it for this webinar that we do in the fall. I'll go
Yep.
hard on it around the times where we send out this quarterly newsletter. And then I'm normal about it in the interim.
Right.
And I think I need to be mindful of that. I want to be commenting on all the posts. Anytime someone comments on my post, I want to comment back. All these things. But it's like that doesn't have to happen right away. I can just let that breathe for a minute. So I'll put some restrictions on myself for that as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a good example for that. All right, Dean, super, super cool. I love what you're doing. And I love the iterative process and making it better every time. That is key. And because these things, like the way they never turn out the way you think they're going to turn out, and you have to adjust and make them better every single time. That's really cool.
Thanks so much. Can I shout out my sponsors, please?
Yes, go. Absolutely.
Okay. DC Foresight Financial, Convergence Networks, Tag HR, and Audit Shield. Thank you very much to all of them.
Well, so I'm curious about these sponsors. Are they very accounting centric? Are they Ottawa centric? Are they both? What does that look like? When you think that through, right?
Tag HR is a local recruiting service. So they're helping accounting firms find talent. They're in lots of networks, but they're there and they're great people. And I knew them before the event. Convergence Networks was actually a firm called Grade A that was local in Ottawa. And then they merged with a firm closer to you in Portland, Oregon called Convergence Networks.
Okay.
So they merged. This guy, Ted, was the first person to approach me about sponsorship. So local tech, providing tech services to accounting firms as well as all sorts of firms.
Yep.
But some of the firms that play in the in the game, they are already using
Yep.
grade A/convergence networks. DC Foresight Financial, woman from there approached me about it, super nice people. The guy from that firm hit a 3-run home run in the bottom of the 7th.
Perfect.
Tell the team, yeah, come back. Like, he'll be back next year. You can that's guaranteed.
Wait, and are they local as well?
Super local, and their financial planning and
Okay.
insurance and stuff like that. They're a perfect fit for us. And the last one is Audit Shield. Audit Shield is like bang on accounting. They provide insurance services to accountants' clients who get audited. So they're very niche. Our market is their market. So
Okay.
they align perfectly. Great people there as well.
Local?
National. Across
Okay.
Canada. Yeah, but
Okay.
very much, very present in Ottawa.
Very present. So I think what I'm drawing out here is the localness of this is very real, and I think you're just like 3 of the 4 are almost exclusively local, and one has a very big local presence. I think that's
exactly.
It's a lot different than having like Coca-Cola, right? Not that you'd get Coca-Cola, but totally. I think that becomes really important. And again, like this keeps circling back to me, the very, very deep local presence done in many different ways through the sponsors. You mentioned the local pub, right? I'm guessing, I don't know this, but I'm guessing this is not a chain. It's a small local business, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And so I just continue to believe the more that you can support these small businesses, the more the localness of your engagement, the more you turn that location into a referral network. And that for me is what Dark Social is all about. It's super well done. Thank you for being so generous with your experience